Number 15.
In a game about a big burly dude with a holographic naked lady killing aliens, it was a pleasant surprise to find the Flood hidden in the game, and by pleasant I of course mean unnerving and as creepy as my uncle's ballsack. The Flood don't just have a grotesque look that breathes fresh air into the stagnation that is zombies, but they also have the benefit of being an organism that ended a civilization much greater than ours. Of course none of this is more than Chief can handle. Even on legendary difficulty they're far from the hardest enemies to kill, thus detracting significantly from their overall scariness.
Number 14.
Dragons are the bread and butter of fantasy, but this abomination with way too many teeth had me tempted to turn the console off and take a walk outside. But when that moment passed, I quickly realized that the boss was actually one of the easiest bosses in the game thanks to its slow and predictable moveset. Which is a total shame since the artists did such a good job of crafting an enemy that can only be described as horrifying.
Number 13.
STD puns aside, these things are creepy, alien in the best kind of way, and have a fast enough speed that you really don't want to have to deal with them. Not only that, but the moans humans make when they're being controlled by them can be heard to say "help me" when reversed in an audio editing program, giving the not so subtle indication that their victims are very much conscious of the pain and horror they're going through.
Number 12.
Originality in horror goes a long way, and while a fungus controlling a person is creepy, if you don't do it right they're just going to feel like any other zombie, infected. Which is pretty much the case for all the other fungal enemies in this game except for the clicker. They're quick, basically invincible, deformed, and most importantly, blind. To make up for this they make clicking noises to use echolocation like a bat does, which makes for a cool and creepy way to add stealth and is also surprisingly believable, as some blind people actually use this to find their way.
Number 11.
To be honest, Slender isn't a very good game, but the mythos of the internet created Slender Man carried it to reach enough notoriety for Let's Players to make the creator a bunch of money. And let's face it, the story behind him is cool, the character is creepy, mysterious, and one of the last things you'd want to meet in a forest at night. If they used the version with the much cooler tentacles, old Slendy would be much higher on the list and closer to my heart.
Number 10.
Dead Space has a bit too much action to be a real survival horror game, but luckily the atmosphere and design makes it plenty creepy enough. This is aided heavily by the bloodied corpses made of car crash corpses and children's screams. And when I say car crash corpses, I'm not going for a random descriptor. The creators of the game actually used photos of mangled bodies from the wreckage of automobile accidents as study and reference material. Either these guys went home disturbed and needed therapy, or they were already fucked up to begin with, but the net result is a disgusting and macabre enemy that fits the mood perfectly.
Number 9.
When you get right down to it, it doesn't make much sense to give the supposedly for children's amusement animatronics several rows of razor-sharp teeth, unless your idea of amusement is stuffing corpses of children into your robotics. The first game didn't make the furry robots very creepy, and without the jump scares they wouldn't have actually been frightening for anyone but those with a phobia. However, later entries in the series really upped the pissed pants factor by making them more dilapidated and hellish looking, to the point where you might as well give them visible brains.
Number 8.
Speaking of visible brains, these guys will tear yours out through your nose and wear them as a hat. Well, not really, but they do actually have brains on the outside. Also no eyes, but they don't seem to have any difficulty finding you. Maybe their tongues have little eyes on them. Either way, since Resident Evil 2 is a game where even a slow-moving zombie can hand your ass to you and there's limited saves, the lickers will make you sweat whenever you notice them before they notice you.
Number 7.
Don't let the boring name fool you. This metric ton of meat and mutilation will hunt you down and make you cry for your mother. He's not only giant, but he's also fast and will actually check your hiding places when you run like the little bitch that you are from him. This is all helped by the fact that you can't fight back at all, making him and every other enemy in the game an actual threat, although once you get used to the game it's not that hard to avoid detection or capture.
Number 6.
If you dig around the internet enough, it seems that the idea behind this unnerving monstrosity actually came out before the Doctor Who episode of basically the same idea. Even if it is basically ripped off of the Weeping Angels, it's still frightening to have an otherworldly monster that only moves in the milliseconds between your blinks. Adding a blinking mechanic to a horror game was actually pretty cool and definitely made 173 the unrelenting horror that it deserved to be.
Number 5.
What can I say? Ghost women in white nightgowns are creepy, not sure why that is, but it's true. It's also helped by the fact that Lisa moves in totally unpredictable ways and will eat you when she catches you. She's also unkillable like all the best horror monsters and has a face that not even a mother could look out without a shiver down her spine.
Number 4.
Bloated, rotting flesh doesn't look good on anyone, especially when their jaw hangs between their nipples. Combine that with the chains and ropes binding the unwilling flesh to the body and you have a monster that has no chance of getting a date to the prom, even with a lovely serenade about how its heart literally stopped beating thanks to her beauty. So yeah, these buggers were a reveal that stuck in the minds of anyone who played the game. Unfortunately they put its face on the cover of the game, ruining the experience for those that bought it after a certain point.
Number 3.
The original scary alien. It's hungry and it has its eyes on you for lunch. Not only that, but it's impervious to your attacks and it will find you no matter where you hide. The absolute best thing about Isolation is that the xenomorph is not bound to prescripted events and actually runs on an AI system that's more than a little brilliant. Isolation gave all the right honors to the original movie and you have to applaud that after the innumerable attempts that came before it.
Number 2.
You know what's even creepier than a dead woman ghost? A dead girl ghost, with a broken neck to top it off. Not only that, but she is aggressively fast and will catch you unaware many times throughout the game. The broken neck isn't just for show, since the way you remove enemies in this game is by taking photos of their faces and her head is on her back, making it much harder to remove her unwanted presence.
Number 1.
You all knew it would be on top, and those of you that didn't should probably go play Silent Hill 2. He has amazing character design, a creepy as fuck entrance, and has symbolism up his triangle-shaped orifices. You don't even get to kill him. Once James gets over his desire to be punished, that's what they symbolize. He will just fall on his awesome-looking sword because there's no way James could do that even with a chainsaw. Even though his appearance was sullied by appearing after Silent Hill 2, that doesn't detract from just how scary he is. Having him as a boss you needed to conquer wasn't even enough for the game. They made you try and get rid of 2 of them, and if that encounter didn't make you feel scared, then I don't know what will.